So, welcome to the Temple of Edfu, one of the most beautiful and the most complete temples in Egypt. Like any other temple in Egypt, the temple was dedicated to the god Horus, son of Isis and Osiris. Horus, who represented legitimacy in Egypt. Horus, who succeeded to get the throne of Egypt back after it was taken by his uncle Set from his father Osiris. So, the city here is named Bahdet, the ancient name. So Horus is known as Horus of Bahdet. This temple, like any other one, it starts over there outside by a pylon of 2 towers, leads to an open court, the largest court in the temple, and then that leads to the second court of the columns, and a third one with columns, and 2 vestibules, and finally the sanctuary or the Holy of Holies behind. The reason that the first court is the biggest one, in their ceremonies and celebrations, they allowed the commoners to come inside the temple, to be in the first part of the temple, and their number was a big number, so they can stay in the first, which is the biggest court in the temple. The second was for the priests, and the third right here for the priests of the high rank, and the vestibule behind me over there for the high priest, and the innermost, which is the sanctuary, for the Pharaoh, only the Pharaoh, nobody but the Pharaoh. Because the more and more religious, they are allowed to walk further and further inside. The least religious are the commoners, so they are in the outer part. They are so far from the sanctuary where the statue of the god was accommodated. And the second part closer to the sanctuary for the priests, because they are more religious. The third right here for the priests of the high rank, more religious. And the inner for the high priest and the Pharaoh, the most religious person. As we get further inside the temple, the ground gets higher. So we always step up, 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 up until we find the sanctuary, the highest level, the highest ground. And the ceiling is descending. The ceiling of the first part is the sky, the highest ceiling. And then the ceiling on the second court is resting on the biggest columns and the highest columns in the temple. And right here, columns are shorter. And over there, the vestibule, the ceiling is resting on the walls. And the ceiling of the sanctuary is the lowest ceiling. So we can see that the ground is moving up, and the ceiling is moving down, and the walls are moving inside. From the beginning over there outside, they wanted us to focus our attention to the innermost part where the statue of the god was. The temple is built on one straight axis. From outside, you can put yourself in the middle to be with the sanctuary, one straight axis. But from outside, I believe commoners could not see what happened inside because they are so far from the most sacred place. As you are moving further and further closer to the God, you can see what was going on better and better until you get to the innermost, the Pharaoh, who was the link between the God and the rest of the people. The Pharaoh started chanting the hymns. He started singing. So whatever he said was repeated by them, group by group. By the way, some of the priests were chanters, singers, and some were musicians. If the Pharaoh said, "May Horus be kind," the high priest repeated, "May Horus be kind," the priests of the high rank, "May Horus be kind," the priests, "May Horus be kind," the commoners, "May Horus be kind." So it's like the sound, he is the sound and they are the echo. He is the maestro and they are the chorus. He is the leader and they are the followers. He is the one who is teaching them and they are getting that, they are learned from him. And then after chanting, they started with the meditation because they believed that the music they played or the hymns they sang was the best to clear their minds for meditation, and the Pharaoh led that meditation. This is the function of the different places we can see here, and why the size of every place is getting smaller, smaller until we get to the innermost. Thank you so much.
To add to Mr. Hisham what he said, this temple built for meeting, we call it the beautiful meeting between Hathor and Horus. The beautiful meeting, Hathor, this is the god of love, and Horus, the power. Every year and every morning, the people they coming to the sanctuary, and then they clear and they clean and added the perfume, and they added they change the linen which they wearing, and they then say, open your left eyes, open your right eyes, make our day beautiful day, make a new day beautiful day. Give us the love, give us the soul, give us the beautiful life. For the beautiful meeting every year, to a big celebration between this temple and then their temple. This connected with together there. Thank you.
So with these opening words of Hisham and Omar, let us continue immersing ourselves, connecting ourselves consciously here, sitting close to the Holy of Holies, where priests and priestesses have stood and performed their rituals and ceremonies and incantations. Feeling the holiness within ourselves, the sacredness of ourselves, the beauty, the love, the compassion, the honoring of Spirit, of God, of the eternal source of love. Listen to the dove. Listen to the peace that is within you, that is eternal, that is everlasting and always there, the God within us. Listen deeper, closely to your heart. Bring yourself closer into this temple, connecting with your temple, with your light temple. Taking slow, nourishing, conscious breaths. And let us connect even deeper by pronouncing one word in ancient Egypt, the word light, and that is Mer. Together.
Greetings, dear ones. I am Kryon of Magnetic Service. In the Temple of Horus we are, in Edfu, a spectacular temple which has survived the thousands of years because it is built well, dear ones. I want you to imagine for a moment how this was accomplished and ask you, do you think there was someone in charge? Do you think the workmen simply descended on this and shaped it? And perhaps they had a plan, but there had to be an architect. There had to be someone there pointing and saying, this goes first, this goes second, and supervising it step by step over the years it took to create such a thing. In addition, there's an elegance of building here. It is not simply a cookie cutter, as they say, temple. The floors slope a certain way on purpose, the certain angles, the perceptions, the doorways that shrink and open. All of these things, dear ones, took a great deal of planning, mathematics, and supervision. I've told you before that it's hard to find the plans or even the tools. The plans, dear ones, are sacred. They were given by God, and they were instructed carefully and followed out, temple after temple, for the same kind of building, the same kind of consciousness of building. It's not unusual that you didn't find the plans or perhaps even the tools, any more than you would find the tools if you had one of your skyscrapers suddenly buried and unburied thousands of years later. You would not find the tools there or even the plans. They're in a separate place, perhaps a separate office, a separate building. Here, that has not yet been discovered. You know the names of the architects, and even their tombs have not been discovered. So there is a sameness of something that is missing. But you can see the results, dear ones, right in front of you. The majesty of planning and order. The Egyptians were good at this. There was order here. There was similarity here. There was good management and control here in building here. And what you see has lasted 1,000 years, another 1,000, perhaps another 1,000 on top of that. That is the result of mastery, of architecture, of planning, of mathematics. We continue the story of woe. Now has come back to his teacher, his master, for more information about something he never knew existed. Because his teacher, his master, is doing a show and tell, perhaps the first time he has ever heard these things, or been shown these things, or been told these things, about tools the human being has in a higher vibration. Filled with metaphors it is, and it continues. And the teacher says to Woe, "Woe, are you ready for more information?" And Woe said, "Yes." So the teacher said, "I want you to imagine a factory in progress." This is a metaphor. Woe, it's a factory that makes a product. And every single worker in the factory and all the departments, all that which goes into making a product is known. Let's call the product L. And everyone in the factory knows their job, not just the workers who make L, but the accounting office and the sales office and the human resources office and all those things that go into making a corporation, they know. And they accomplish their jobs because they know what they're doing. But there's something missing in the factory. There's not much direction. Now, if you looked at the factory, you could say, well, it seems to be working well, and the products are rolling off the assembly line. Here comes another L. Here comes another L. Here comes another L. But over time, dear ones, the factory, without someone in charge and someone saying, correct this and go here and do that, it bogs down. There's dysfunction. There are problems even between the departments because they don't talk to each other. It's not easy anymore. You might even say there is dis-ease in the factory. Well, I've just described the human body. Every single part knows what it's supposed to do and does it. And the product is L, life. We told you before, Woe, what happens to cellular structure when there's no direction? It ages more. It doesn't have any consciousness of knowing because there's no one in charge. There's no boss. But there is a boss. What is it you have been told in your culture, woe, or those listening to this, all the woes, the woe-mans who are listening to this, what have you been told in your culture? And it goes like this. The body does its thing. And you look down at the body and you hope it works. And if it doesn't, then there's chemistry that'll help it. There's all manner of chemistry today. You call them drugs. They will manipulate the chemistry in the body to make it last longer, or perhaps to cure a disease. That's what you've been told. And that's what the culture then does. Almost exclusively, that's what the culture does. But whoa, I'm going to give you some information that you can throw all that away. If there were a boss, there would be no more dis-ease. And so this is where we get the expression, and we have told many times, many those who listen, many woes who sit in front of me, be the boss of yourselves and have a consciousness of energy that helps them to know what to do. Now, you don't know what a cell does. Not really. You'd have to study and study and study to even understand the chemistry. That's the cell's job, dear one. They do it well. But they need an architect. They need someone in charge. And this may sound odd. You sit in a temple that was built for what? Meditation. Thousands of years ago, the architects built that for sound, meditation. You might even say, to establish the glory of the Creator. Today you sit here, what we are doing, thousands of years later, meditation. Some things don't change. Your body needs meditation, not necessarily like this. Call it biological meditation, and be the architect when you say to the body, dear cells of my body, listen up. I love you. Work together like a beautiful love machine with compassion for one another. And I will be there as the architect with my consciousness, with my own body, with you, to direct you into life. You'll find that you'll have a human that does not contact the diseases of the day, will not have necessarily creaky bones of the day, will not age as much, we said before, but more than that, more than curing disease, more than healing, it's a body that will not then deteriorate as much or catch the things of the day. It's about health, not about healing things which are wrong. It's about preventing them in the first place. A body that does nothing except love you back in the way it works, and you love it. An odd concept, perhaps, to medicine, that you would love your body so much that you would meditate in the temple of your cells and be the architect of your own life, and how they work together in the beauty that they were designed to, with you in charge of all of them. Once again, Woe never heard that. He always simply took his pills. This is the truth of the day for all of you who wish to go to the next level of what you're here for. Old soul, you're designed to live a long time. Old soul, we need you to. This earth needs you right now. It needs your compassion, your prayers, the energy of your consciousness, the architect of your own humanity. I'm in Kryon in love with all of you. And so it is.